Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MilSimUnits.com podcast. I'm your host, Brock, and with us here tonight, we have some leaders from the 4th Ranger Regiment, 4RR. With us, we have Hendrix
What's up, guys?
and Mason.
Good evening.
We got Zamora,
Hello.
Welsh,
How's it going, guys?
and Duncan.
What's up?
All right, gentlemen. Looking forward to this one. Like I was saying before we got rolling here, I've been working with Hendrix here, getting all the details lined up and all the logistics squared away. So this should be good. Ranger Regiment units. I won't call it a niche, and by all means, I mean there's a lot of guys who are oriented towards that. But we're going to get into what 4RR is all about, where you guys have come from, and where you're going looking into 2027. So, without further ado, I'm curious, guys. Can you tell us about your background? How did each of you get started in MilSim, and how long have you been in the game?
I'll start off first. I think I have the most cringe one by far. I told these boys whenever I first started that, as a matter of fact, this old iteration of 4RR back when it used to be 4RB, and we'll get into that. This is actually technically my first proper large scale milsim. Before that, when I was like 13, 14 years old, I always had the whole interest in the Rangers and Call of Duty stuff. Whenever Modern Warfare 2 came out way back when, that really got me hooked into the whole Ranger thing. And then I got into Milsim on, embarrassingly enough, Roblox. And I did that for like 2 years, and then I realized, okay, yeah, this is whack. I shouldn't be doing this stuff. And then I moved on from that, thankfully. And then I realized, hey, there's actually a game that does this a lot better. And then I got into Arma 3 after tiptoeing around other games and stuff like that. I did like the smaller stuff with like my friends and everything like that, and then I finally decided to join this place, and then so I technically didn't even start my milsim career, you can say, in Arma 3 until like probably 2.5 years ago. So I'm actually pretty like recent in this stuff, but I've enjoyed it ever since.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, we all got to start somewhere, and believe me, there's some variety. There's some different origin stories out there in the community. But yeah, that's great. I mean, we all end up in Arma 3, like I've said a million times before. That's where MilSim is really, I think, coming to its own. All right, so what about the rest of you guys? Where have you come from? What's your history here in MilSim gaming?
Myself started in fucking I-44 back in Arma 2,
Sure. Yep.
fucking old ass back in the day and shit, and been doing it for about 12 years ish. So then fucking found this group uh about 2.5 years ago, back when it was 4RB, and then from there just kind of the rest of his own history entirely for that. So
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So different but similar. What about you, Zamora? How did you get started in MilSim?
Uh, it was I mean, when I bought my first computer, or when I got my first computer bought for me, it was definitely kind of the first thing that I was looking at. I was always on YouTube looking at those different, videos of the very first, MilSims that were out there. So it always just kind of interested me. I got my computer, and then just kind of from there, immediately bought Arma. I think it was actually my first game that I did buy.
Hmm.
And then also alongside Gmod as well, and just kind of played on those two. Did a lot of Star Wars stuff when I first got it because I'm a big Star Wars fan. Live and breathe it. And then after that, just kind of looked around different milsims, joined many of them, some that are still around, some that aren't, and then just kind of Duncan here actually invited me to uh, at the time called Fourth Ranger Battalion 4RB, but definitely fell in love with kind of how they did everything. Really interested in the whole milsim side of the house, modern U.S. military, and just kind of from there ran with it for years. And I mean, I've been here for 3-ish years now, I think 2-ish, 3-ish years,
Gotcha.
and I'm just loving every moment of it.
All right. So yeah, a little bit different, kind of path for you over the years, but again, each of you so far, you've been here in 4RR for 2, 3 years now, going strong. So that's pretty interesting. You know how you guys all you made it this far, kind of came together and then gelled. So we'll definitely be getting into more of some of the dynamics that you've got going here in the unit. So who else haven't we heard from? Welsh. What's your origin story? How'd you get started?
Yeah. So, like Hendrix, I kind of have a cringy backstory, but back in the day, started out with 5M and had a buddy who introduced me to Arma and went to go play in his unit and just random day saw a YouTube video, some like Barbie going through the Ace Arsenal and seeing like that Barbie side of it with that more MilSim gear, and that led me down the rabbit hole and led me to at the time 4RB, now 4R, and I've been just sticking through it off and on for this unit since 2023.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, started with a whole different title, but again, got into MilSim, made it to Arma 3, and you've been going here, going strong here for like 3 years now. So outstanding. All right. Last but not least, Duncan. So you don't you got your buddy into the game here, into the unit anyway. So where did you get started? Tell us about your backstory.
Yeah, he actually got me into Arma himself. He got me into the Star Sim unit. Can't remember the name, but it was actually a lot of fun. Um, but I had, the crappiest computer, running at like 2 frames, but I was having the time of my life. That unit just died out. So then I moved with another friend to 11th Infantry Brigade. That was pretty fun for a while. Very bare bones unit. And then we took a break from that for about a year, and I was just itching to play some Arma again. So I found 4RB, just pure luck. Um, then I invited one of our other friends called Burke. He now hosts the server for 4R. And then later on, we got Zamora in. Um, And then, I've been here about 2 years altogether with a year break in between, but it's been a lot of fun.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, similar but different. I mean, in terms of audience panels, from prior units we've had on the show. I mean, yeah, you guys have a pretty good variety. You're not like all, cut from one stone here in terms of your Milsim history or your interest even. But like I said, somehow there's something about I guess 4RB for some of you, but then 4R now as it's kind of evolved over the years that has kept you here and kept you committed. So I'm definitely interested in hearing more about that kind of unpacking what you've got going on here. So. I'm curious. So, obviously, starting as, Fourth Ranger Battalion, you guys were focused on that Ranger, kind of mindset, the Ranger, operational, mission sets and whatnot. So, can you tell us, going all the way back to the start here, how did you gravitate towards, this specific theme? And, what is it that makes that focus so compelling for your people, keep them, engaged like this for year after year?
So, I can comment on this one. In like a broad spectrum, from what I noticed and like what particularly drew my attention towards like the whole Ranger thing, especially when I was looking for my first Arma 3 Milsim, especially, it was the fact that, as a Ranger unit and what, how we get people, especially, is that we do a little bit of everything. It's like people have their somewhat like niche of like, hey, like I want to do a tier one thing. I want to be with like Delta, DevGru, and all that cool stuff. That's fantastic and all. But the way at least I saw it, I'm not gonna quote these guys, but it was too specific, and it's like a temporary fund in an essence because like the way I saw it, at least from my perspective, when I was trying to join a voice crack, join a milsim,
No pressure.
it was, hey, yeah, my bad. Like walking, walking around for like 4 clicks or something like that, and then breaching one building and calling an airstrike, and that's it. That's all I saw of how tier 1 units did their thing. So when I saw a Ranger unit of large scale warfare and having a bunch of people boots on ground type of stuff, that seemed a lot more enjoyable to me, rather than the other side of MilSim, where it's like those smaller troop size elements in comparison to these platoon size elements where you're meeting like 40 people in comparison to 12 people. So, and on top of that, I was still a fan of Rangers because of old Call of Duty, but that's how I felt about it, and why I gravitated towards keeping this theme and stuff.
Sure.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Mason?
Well, I was going to say, so I mean, you got that you got hooked with Modern Warfare there. That was kind of like your inspiration, but it sounds like you wanted to focus on more of the direct action, gameplays. I mean, clandestine recon and patrols and whatnot is, that's a big part of the Ranger bread and butter. But it sounds like you wanted to get more trigger time than just kind of slink around the shadows and hitting one HVT at a time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, granted, it's still cool at a like certain points, but looking at it as like getting like 50, 60 people, all in the same plan, and getting. I think it was cooler, having like 10 people jump out of a plane or something in comparison to like 50, 60 people jumping out of a plane
Hmm.
and doing an entire airfield seizure. Like
Yeah.
it's cinematic is more so what it is. It's a lot more cinematically pleasing in comparison to like the other side of it.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so that's how I saw it.
Sounds like a good time to me. So yeah, what do Russ you think here? I heard somebody about to chime in.
No, he pretty much nailed it on the head with about all we're trying to encompass within the unit itself. Being trying to encompass and do the premier light infantry stuff for as long as we can, and still trying to do is our main focus point, and providing that experience for everybody, like making sure that they're enjoying that experience, having fun, and from there, whatever they're to improve on in the next mission, training, whatever it might be. So
Gotcha. Yeah. What about unit history? I mean, going back, you mentioned how you got your start with 4RB. I mean, what about the transition to 4RR? I mean, has anything changed? I mean, have you let what have you kept? What have you
Oh
let go?
man. Yeah, there's
I
so
take it.
yeah, we pre-planned this. So I'm gonna let Welsh start off with, we're gonna go over everything, Brock. We got you.
All
We're gonna
right.
go over the entire history. Not too detailed because that's gonna be a long while, but I'll let Welsh start off and then we'll go from there.
Sure.
So since I joined, which was very early 2023, the unit was around for probably a year and a half ish prior to me joining, but it wasn't anything crazy, right? It like all units at that point, it's the unit building phase of the previous owner who's still active and a fantastic dude, Micah,
Hmm.
who was building the unit and building the player base and so on and so forth. But as time allowed, or as time continued, the unit went through phases of new exos of varying variety and new and old detachments. At one point we had RRC, we moved to Delta, then to Green Berets, and then back to Delta.
We got the Halo phase too.
We also had a Halo phase, and just a continuous cycle of from 2023 to current of just changes that affected the unit. And a couple big ones was a group of individuals, myself included, left the unit and caused the transition to a Halo unit. And then that led us down to another rebuild phase. 4R has had a handful of rebuild phases in which individuals left, individuals came back, so on and so forth. But the big thing is the rebuild phases in which new players come to join, such as Mason, Zamora, Duncan, Hendrix, all of these players that came after me that still are here today that helped impact the unit as a whole. And kind of the big change that happened was Micah kind of giving up the reins, if you will. I mean, he showed up, I think, just about every weekend for about 5 years straight. So, doing that every Saturday, every Sunday for 4 or 5 years can really take a toll on you, especially Arma of all games.
Sure.
So he made the call to hand the keys to the castle to Hendrix and Mason, who decided to do a rebrand just due to previous individuals that gave the unit a bad name, whether that be toxicity in modding discords or starting issues with other communities, whatever the problem was.
Mm-hmm.
After 5 years, a name's going to have good and bad attached to it. So they decided to start fresh with 4R, and the rest is history of putting good people in positions and taking us to where we are now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you guys, you wanted, something fresh. Sounds like you guys, work to find yourselves, to work out that identity. But it all you guys. Well, I guess you guys came together and then kind of gelled from there. So
Yeah, if
it's
I could add something to
yeah,
that.
please, yeah, it's a great
So,
story.
um, I around the time when Hendrix took over leadership of now 4RR, I was myself and Duncan. We took a little bit of a break from the unit, having to do with real life stuff. And during that time, while it was still 4RB, they went through what I like to call kind of like a Great Wall event, where a lot of units, as we all know, a lot of units pass and stop being units whenever the leader ends, and they don't
Right.
want to do it anymore. That usually kills the unit. Um, so just having that ability for a unit to actually still prosper and thrive when a totally new rebrand and totally new owner takes over is really something that was impressive for 4R that I was seeing from the outside, not even in the unit at the time. Um, and then on top of that, a little bit of the changing aspect between 4R and 4RB is during 4RB, the operations were held a certain way. It was kind of your classic um, way of doing Arma operations at the time in the 2000 or 2022, 2023, 2024 type of era there, where it was just city on the map. You have a whole platoon. You put people inside of the city and you go attack that city. Um, just about I'm gonna say around this time actually last year, maybe a little bit more towards in the fall, we really changed our focus to where we sat down and we really spoke to each other and we figured out what is it that gives you that kind of actual MilSim experience.
Hmm.
Was it running around with an M4 and just shooting at random people, or was it something more than that? And we kind of came up with the decision that it was something more than that. What really draws people in is playing as a team. So we sat down and we decided and we planned and we talked and organized and all that stuff on figuring out how do we naturally but kind of enforce that team gameplay. And what we decided is that having that idea where it's big city, you assault the whole city, blah blah blah, did it counteracted that. It actually changed how you went because instead of you going as one fire team of 4 people pushing inside of a room or inside of a building, clearing the whole building, there was 40, 50 buildings you had to clear. So you would separate into teams of 2 or even just by yourself and you would go run through the building. Now, yeah, for some people, they really enjoyed that because it was that kind of main character ideology where you're going in, you're clearing the whole building by yourself, you're John Wick. But once we made that change where we were like, all right, let's try to kind of condense it down. Now, instead of attacking a full city, you attack a little compound inside of a city. And changing that ideology, changing that kind of way that we approached operations and missions, it really allowed us to kind of really reinforce that you guys are a squad now. You guys are a group of people running together. And it really did help us kind of boost our popularity amongst people that joined in our retention because now, as you know, or if you don't, we're now kind of hovering around that 2 platoon. side of the house where we're actually actively running 2 platoons. This Sunday we'll be on 2 different servers running, a 30-person operation on each one, depending on the people. Um, and what really allowed that retention was the fact that we dumbed it down. We really kind of boiled it down to a science, and people like playing together. People like running into buildings and actually realistically, air quotes, realistically clearing a room with your fire team, having to stack up and, using actually one guy to breach the door while the other guy throws a flashbang, putting those charges on the door, and, running as that group.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, but yeah, you said it, playing as a team. I mean, that's it. That's what MilSim for me is all about. It sounds like you've been refining your tactics, honing in on what's most important for those ops. And like you said, I mean, you called it dumbing it down, but to me, that's just keeping it simple. If you can do the basics well and you can cooperate as an element, as a unit, that's to me, that's what makes a difference between MilSimming and just shooting the first thing that moves in Call of Duty or any of the other titles out there for more mainstream first person shooters and what they're looking for. So yeah, that's outstanding.
I think Mason quoted it best, like when we originally were having this conversation, as like, because it was leading to a point where like we almost all like at the same time had a burnout. Are on top of like real life stuff and everything like that, showing up on every weekend and feeling like the way Mason put it, which I think is a perfect way to put it, was it felt like a battlefield conquest game. You don't actually play with the team. When you hop on the game, you're just kind of doing your own thing. If you play with the team, you play with the team. It is what it is. That's how it felt at the time, and transitioning out of that was what helped build to what we are right now, as Zamora said. So I think they both got it spot on of how it was, and transitioning to what it is now, it helped significantly, because going from doing that for like 3 years in a row and wondering for the longest time, why can't we retain the people we have? And at a point, it was like, we have the people we do, and we stay because of the people as well. Like, I met all four of these guys. Ooh, I met all four of these guys through 4RB. And these guys are like some of my bestest friends now and everything. But bluntly, I stayed at a time because it was all friends and stuff. But the ops were not as enjoyable because we weren't working as a team properly. Like, these guys would, take their time out on Sunday. If we have like 30, 40 people showing up at the time and then just kind of just doing their own thing, it wasn't MilSim. That's like the simplest way to put it. It wasn't a MilSim. It was rather, let me get a bunch of people to do like a public hosted game of just go shoot AI.
Yep. Yep.
So that was the differentiating factor we made.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like, to a degree, the odds were against you. With a change of leadership or change of ownership, even, and then finding your groove, so to speak, if you pardon that expression there. You guys really had to work with your people to figure out what was going to keep them involved and what was going to bring the most bang for the buck and have everyone enjoying their experience. So that's well done. So I'm curious, can you talk about your operations here? I mean, I've checked some of your media, your YouTube channel in particular. I mean, I can tell you guys you're into immersive realism. I mean, you're following that Ranger mindset, using really serious tactics and as you just described, serious teamwork at all levels. What's a moment where you guys were in the field and everything came together. It was so intense that you felt like you were really there, I'm curious, what kind of experiences have you each had that really drew you in like 100% like that?
Uh, I think Welsh can go first. I think he's got a pretty good one for this one.
Huh?
All right. So, I mean, the big thing that for me that made it this event, if you will call it, that intense was kind of just the people around me. The people around me, two of them are, sitting in this call, but it, long story short, was a SF, special forces deployment, if you want to call it that,
Mm.
when we still had SF at the time. And the rough mission set was go burn poppy fields, and we completed that objective, but just the scenery of that and watching, in all of Arma's glory, 5, 6 set of poppy fields engulfed in flames, and you're in an active gunfight. Just that shoot, move, communicate, and performing those procedures to that level kind of just made it a mission that I couldn't forget.
Mm. I think Hendrix a few minutes ago was talking about cinematic kind of visuals in your ops. I love a good fire landscape. I can imagine. I'm trying to envision it in my head here, but yeah, if I were there and I heard rounds cracking past and you're in the thick of it, man, that would be pretty unforgettable.
If you'd like a photo, I can forward it your way.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd love to get eyes on that. Maybe I can put it in the background here for the podcast.
Yeah. Another, if I may jump
Yeah,
in.
go. Please.
Another operation that happened more recently. That operation that Welsh was talking about. I was one of the guys there with him. That happened during our 4RB time. So this was a few years ago. Still fun, still memorable. One of my favorite missions that I've done. One of the more recent ones actually happened, I think, about a few months ago. I think 3 months ago. If I'm wrong, please correct me, Hendrix. But we were on the map of Tanoa, and we were assaulting the city next to like that main airfield on the southern part of the main island of Zamora.
Yep.
And that whole operation at the time, second platoon, was I think we just transitioned from a support platoon over to a assault platoon. And in the beginning, when we first opened that second platoon, we were purely support. So we played the artillery role. We played like with Bradleys. We did, whenever we needed resupply, we would drive a vehicle up from the back with all our arsenal or all our ammo and stuff, so people can. We just transitioned back over or to an assault platoon, like an actual assault. 3 or 2 squads and a weapon squad. That whole ordeal. And at the time, me and Duncan, we wanted to play with artillery because we love artillery. That's one thing that we really liked doing. So while they were assaulting across that main bridge, and if you know what I'm talking about, that one main bridge, the super long one that reaches from the southern island, there was a bunch of enemies on the other side, and Hendrix here at the time told us that we needed to help clear that side. So we were able to get the 250. We originally started with the Paladins, and then we got the 225 or 250 millimeter rocket artillery, and completely annihilated it. And from our side, I believe we have a video of it. In one of our videos, you'll see us shooting it in the HIMARS. But we, from our side, me and Duncan, we were talking. We heard the rounds hitting and all that. It was very cool. But actually seeing that video of them pushing across the bridge while you saw the jet come in and drop JDAMs and the rockets hitting and all of that was just phenomenal. It was really cool. And it even went further to where when they started assaulting that main town, we actually had our squads dismount and they were behind Humvees that were pushing up with 50s, and kind of like think of reminiscent of World War II era squads pushing behind a tank. We were kind of mimicking that with a Humvee, where the Humvee was laying down fire, and you had the other squads pushing behind it, peeking around, shooting, then walking up using it as cover. It was probably the most cinematic situations I've ever been in, and I fall in love with that operation.
That sounds pretty badass. So yeah, some great stories there. I love the visuals. Definitely. I always love to put some eye candy in the background for the podcast for our audience. So that way, I mean, they're hearing what you're describing, but I want to make sure they got eyes on as well. So if they're interested in taking another look, they know what to expect.
Definitely move forward to that.
We can send you a compilation after this. Of
Yeah,
a
that'd
lot
be
of things
excellent.
if
Yeah,
you'd like.
I love the best of kind of shots, and because I like to put together montages or whatever. I can do a little editing or whatever you got. I'll work with you because that's just like the icing on the cake,
Dope.
Good stuff.
To add on to both of those,
Mm.
if I may, as far as like the actual immersive experience goes, like these operations, funny enough, the ones where we are the most heated, like actively with each other, those are the ones that I by far think is like the most immersive because we're we're so in deep into the operation. We're so embedded into it, like we almost feel like we're in the situation. Obviously, it's a game, but to a point where our tone and everything like that has kind of shifted to not so much, that okay, semi-serious because it's a MilSim is full on like these guys are just like into the shit.
Hmm.
I can't describe the amount of times where we've had those type of operations, and it usually derives from the fact like if we're bogged down, and me and Mason or Zamora and Guest or the other platoon leader, they say, hey, we're Broken Arrow, like we're in this shit right now, and then seeing aviation, get all their pilots, their Apaches, and fixed wing guys and all that, and just decimate everything around us, shit like that, where we're like, you hear our JTACs yelling on the radio and stuff, and you got Zamora yelling at our JTACs to like, shut up and do what he says and all that stuff. Hilarious shit after the fact, but at the time it's like, damn, this shit's getting kind of serious. Those ones are by far like my favorites because you feel like you're at the moment. You can't really
Yeah.
replicate that.
Yeah, that's the spirit in you, you know. I mean, that's the thing. You do take it seriously. You invest all that time, energy, getting yourself trained up, ready to go, getting kitted out, and then hitting go time. So yeah, I mean, when you invest into it, you wanna see the results. So I can get that. But it sounds like regardless whether you're starting and trying different things, in a special forces kind of setting, or going into direct action with a ranger platoon. You guys came together, you gelled, you figured out what worked, and I mean, again, the word cinematic is what kind of stands out to me. You guys didn't just come together and put some missions on, but you actually got some serious engagements, and really had some unforgettable moments there, along the way. So that's a sign of a healthy unit. So I'm curious. You guys, I know you're close. We were talking. It's not just everything that you do together in game is outstanding as that is, but yeah, I'm curious about some of the like behind the scenes dynamics, or some of the legends that have come from your members. So can you tell us about an unexpected moment? It could be from an operation, from training, or just any kind of situation in 4RR. Like what again? What yeah, I'm looking for the legendary here. What kind of legendary characters do you guys have here with all
Do we
these varieties of people
do,
coming together?
do we each want to take one?
Um.
I call Texas. I call Texas. I call Texas.
Okay. I'll let you, Rush. You take the first one, bro.
The,
That was Guesser's boy.
I'll say it. I'll say it. So
I
Go
got
for it.
slogans.
okay, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. You got it, Wash. You got it.
So, at a certain point in time, we had an individual who was kind of like a run of the mill rifleman. Wasn't show up on our op days, perform, kind of just chill throughout the week, not really interact with the community. And we kind of broke that shell for him, if you want to call it that, where we got him, hanging around the voice calls, chilling in our gaming rooms with the rest of us. And one inevitable night, we had located that we found that he had a Twitter linked to his Discord account.
Hmm.
And by God, this Twitter account, it was a sight to behold. It turns out that, no shame against him. At the end of the day, make your money how you will. However, he was
He's a creator. Let's say we
Hmm.
can put it like that.
a male actor, if you will.
Mm.
And
It's a
how
tough business.
Welsh worded that was a little bit like we were looking. We weren't looking. He
I
openly
got you.
came out and would talk about it. So granted,
Really.
you're curious. So, you're like, is this guy actually about it, or is he lying, or all that?
Sure. Yep.
And well, our guy Guesser, he in fact found that guy was truthfully telling us.
10 toes down, he was lying.
We
Wow.
never looked at him the same during the ops after that. It was like this guy. If I ever call him on radio, all I know him as is the actor. That's all I would know him as. That's
Yeah.
it. That's some
Um,
wicked stuff.
Another interesting fellow that we found out after the operation. I already said his name, so you know it is out there, but I won't mention it again. But there was an interesting guy. All right, a very lovely guy. He was cool, very involved with the community. Kind of opposite of what the other guy was. He was very involved. You know, always was talking to us in operations. He were helping around. You know, all that. Very invested is the best way to put it. That he was into 4R to the point where in two different operations. The first one was just your run of the mill normal operation. You know, he was just there hanging out, playing his role. I think he was a
He
team
was a
leader at the
TL.
time. Yeah,
He was a TO.
he was
Mhm.
TL at the time, and we heard some disturbances, I guess you can say, going on in the background. Some people that did not sound too happy. So we, you know, ask him after the op, hey dude, what's up? You got to leave very quickly. You know, it sounded like some people weren't happy. Seems like you were rushing around. You know, what's up? You know, later to find out, he was running late to his own wedding because he would want to be there for an operation. All
Really?
right.
Mm.
Now it doesn't end with this guy. All right. Or it doesn't end with that operation. The next one, you know, weeks later, um, we have this thing where we do ranger school, and you know, every ranger unit does it differently.
Sure. Yeah.
We tend to take a Sunday operation over, and sorry, we use it kind of like it's a leadership test. So we run different lanes through that whole 2 hour time period where different people get to play as the PO, different people get to play as the SL, TL, and it's very fun. Well, this guy didn't want to miss out. You know, he wanted to be there. He wanted to have fun. He was a candidate, thankfully. Um, he was there once again. As soon as the operation starts, we hear his phone ringing, you know, stuff's going on. He's rushing around. Right when that 2 hour time limit hits, he immediately gets out. He's like, hey guys, I gotta go. Later did we find out he was while his I think girlfriend at the time, but the lady he's soon to marry, was currently giving birth to his child while he was there wanting to attend our ranger school.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, we can tell you he did not get he had to take an LOA for a few ops after that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Who's up next, gentlemen?
What else you got?
So that was the first guy that skipped his own like wedding ceremony for an
Mhm.
operation. We had another guy do that as well, but
Holy
for more
shit.
so on the operation side, you can picture this. It's towards the end of the operation, and we had like a high value target retrieval mission. At the time, it was Vice President Kamala Harris as the person we were rescuing. I think it was PLA or something like that.
Yep.
But Welsh at the time was a JTech. Zamora and Duncan were there as company. I think I was a squad lead at the time, or something like that, or a platoon sergeant. I can't remember. But we call in exfil. You know, we did our thing. Everyone's hyped up and all that, and we call in two Chinooks. It was like two Chinooks or something like that. And everyone loads up in the bird. We're ready to get out of the AO and all that cool stuff. We waited for one last guy, the same guy who, this guy's committed. I mean, he's doing trainings throughout the week and all that stuff. And great guy, fantastic guy. He launches a Black Hornet drone and then blows up the entire Chinook with 40 people. And since that event, which was like more than 2 years ago at this point, we've never allowed any riflemen to carry a Black Hornet after that because we were just that fearful that someone would deploy a Black Hornet and blow up the entire bird. And we forever made his nickname as just the Black Hornet guy because this guy, not only he killed the entire platoon of people, he killed our vice president in the ops. So I mean,
It
after
happened
that,
twice that night.
yeah, we couldn't forget it after that. But I think those are some like the peak moments for sure, that legendary moments.
That hurts. Yeah, I mean, talk about commitment, investment here. You got some serious guys. I mean, I can understand, when you're having a good time, you got these cinematic, scenarios unfolding in front of you. It can be a little addictive, but yeah, I got to say to our audience, if you're thinking about it, no, don't skip your wedding. Do not skip the birth of your child. I know those pixelated tabs are important. The memories, yes, you'll hold them forever, but there's some things that just can't wait. So. Yeah, I mean, talk about brotherhood, man. It's like you got some really serious guys who've got it all together, and then you've got a little bit of the of a cross section of the internet there. So yeah, I guess we're all working at our priorities and what we're looking for in life. But you've got
For
some
sure, man,
characters for
for sure.
sure. So, looking back, at 4RR, the last couple of years that you guys have been evolving, um, you know, wh- look at that journey. I mean, you've gone over some of the things that have, changed some of the things that you've held firm. But looking at all this together, in terms of like, your change in structure or your focus from one, from special forces to Halo to Ranger or any of the other details that have made a difference in your experience. Is there a lesson from that change that you've really pulled together and influenced your leadership with?
If you wouldn't mind, if can I comment like a few changes just
Yeah,
to be
sure. Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. You guys have been going hard here. You've had your ups and downs, but you're growing and it's really coming together. So I'm curious. Yeah, what is it that you've really learned from this that the rest of us can benefit from?
so 100% on the more serious note, looking back at history, all of us would join this unit at different times and stuff, and we all experienced different leaderships. Um, when I joined the unit, as an example, we the old structure for 4RB at the time, we had a single company element, and then under that we had a single platoon element, and then with that, even though we were a Ranger unit, we had a special forces thing. It was the niche of the unit at the time, and like bluntly, when I first joined the unit, I thought like, yo, if this is like the main thing, the Ranger thing is the main thing. The real tippity top guys are in the special forces, so people would naturally try to go for that as like an end goal and stuff. But one thing I definitely think by far that we can agree with across the board is that it was the leadership that definitely just needed changing, and how we changed the structure and how we approached it. Like Zamora commented on it, and we talked about how leadership changed and what our focus was. All that we had to change in order for to get to where we are now. To put it to perspective, when we were doing it at the time, the unit wasn't growing. Like it's just an unfortunate reality of it. Like we thought that system would work, and the old unit lead thought that system would work. And in his complete fairness, it did. It worked really well for a very long time. But when it went to that phase of, unfortunately, certain individuals getting into certain positions at the time, um, you know, every leader has their own way of they want to run things, and unfortunately the people that we had at the time were very self-centered. So me and Mason, as an example, we both, when Zamora and Duncan retired, and they took their break and everything like that, me and Mason and Welsh stayed. And I remember in particular, all three of us happened to be getting to the platoon HQ together, and this is whilst the company HQ still existed and stuff. But we realized at the time, working together as just us three at that time, was it's the leadership up top that like will make or break whether or not these people that we are already asking for their time to show up. If we're not showing commitment from the top, they're not going to show up. So us having to go the extra mile and be more approachable, talk with these guys and stuff. Yeah, I for some people it is very annoying. People like to be to themselves, and that's completely understandable. But we knew that as leadership, if we wanted to be approachable and make a community aspect stay existent, then we had to be those people that we can approach to. And then by far, as Zamora was mentioning, it was somewhere around last fall, last year, something like that. I think the biggest change in structure we did was completely eliminating the old company structure, because at the time it didn't make sense. We got rid of special forces entirely, and the sit down conversation was we were too top heavy. I mean, if thinking about it, we had two rifle squads, one weapon squad, and we had a third one pending to open. We just couldn't get the people for it, but we had two HQs, like a platoon leader, platoon sergeant, JTACs, and then we had a company leader, company XO, first sergeant, all that stuff. Like it was very, very top heavy. So a 40-person op more was like 25, because you have all these HQ guys who are, bluntly not doing much except like Zeusing and stuff like that, and almost acting like fill-ins if they need to.
Mm.
But when we got rid of that structure entirely, and we said we need to just start bare bones again. If we're taking, if me and Mason are running this, we need to look at our team. Who do we want to keep, and who can align with the vision of like, hey, this is a Ranger MilSim unit. We need to do things by the book as best as we can. Like that's what's going to get us to be successful. So we got rid of that company structure entirely, and we started back off as just a singular platoon. And everyone, and I mean everyone, was pushed down. We had, our old XO at the time got pushed all the way down to a squad leader. Um, Zamora and Duncan, by the time they came back, and they started off as just a support section of just 6 people. And me and Mason were running the platoon HQ. Guesser, who's their PL now, was just a squad leader as well. So structurally, it changed a lot, but the pace that we grew at, God bless and everything, and the leadership that we had, we were able to grow back to a company structure anyways, and then get to two platoons because we were able to change the structure, the focus, and the approach of how we were doing things. So
Mhm.
everything that Zamora was mentioning earlier, changing the structure to where it makes sense, so where it's more appealing to someone that's brand new. And most importantly, yeah, we have a big. I've seen like other units say like, hey, like a company structure doesn't make sense. Like, what do you and Mason do? Mason being the first sergeant, me being a company CEO, but if we have the amount of people that we do, and we're able to do operations where we have an involvement with the planning and stuff, it works. And that's what people like to see. So long that we knew we had good leaders that are approachable, are actually with the shit, and can align with the vision that we all collectively have, it worked phenomenally. And by far, it was significantly better, like, than what it used to be in terms of enjoyment and how we work together. Because I I honestly, Brock, I couldn't think of a better team to work with, because this is just 5 of us right now. I think our HQ team in total, with JTAX and the other platoon HQ and stuff like that, is like close to 10 people.
Mm.
And we work synonymously, like no problems whatsoever. We all know exactly what we need to do, and it's not a form of interpretation that we need to have to know like, what am I actually doing here? We all know what to do, and we just stick with that.
Mm.
So building that structure, you can honestly say more so the leadership structure first, and establishing that, and then letting things naturally grow, um, to a point where where we are now. That was our by far the biggest changes we need to make in order to get to where we are now. And credit for the Zamora and Duncan here, with these changes we made, and the leadership changes, they were able to grow their small support section, where they were just doing artillery, to a full rifle platoon now. So it's thankfully worked really well. I mean, the evolution has been great, and I loved every step of the way, for sure.
Yeah, that's outstanding. And I mean, you touched on some important points there for anybody. I mean, not just MilSim leaders or yeah, squad or team leaders for that matter. People who are leading volunteers in real life. People who are responsible for teams that they're not signing on the dotted line. They're not getting a paycheck to keep them reeled in. You really got to work to keep your people interested and engaged and committed. Like these guys who are skipping like life-changing events, for the sake of an op or a ranger. Yeah, I mean, believe you don't want to miss ranger school. It only comes, every so often. I get it, but you're right. It's something I've learned from LaFlash. Something I've learned in my own experience. Leadership can make or break a unit. Obviously you need to keep the servers up and running. You need to keep the mods squared away. But if you've got poor leadership, guys who aren't taking care of their own, who aren't making sure that their people are having a good time, then yeah, you're dealing with a house of cards. So yeah, I think you're right there. You start with leadership, you get that solid, and then everything else will kind of form, in that vein. So yeah, again, another success story. So these are really important lessons for just about anybody. So I'm curious about your outreach. So you guys, I mean, you take your unit, your ops, your people seriously. What about your community engagements? We mentioned some of your social media, YouTube here. I'll link your Discord server as well. But what about social media platforms? Anything that I'm missing here that you guys use to connect with the community? Can you tell us how does that engagement benefit your growth as you're developing a second platoon now?
Yeah, I got you for this one.
Hmm.
So we have kind of three main platforms that we're using right now, to my knowledge. We're using Reddit. I think that's where we're getting most of our new recruits from.
Hmm.
YouTube, which I think is where we're getting most our views from people outside the unit. And then we have a TikTok that is slowly growing now. We also have a Instagram, but it hasn't been used yet. But yeah, I was very surprised at how fast we were able to grow on YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, we're still not large in subscribers or views or anything like other units are, but it was very shocking to see how fast shorts were able to grow that YouTube channel. I never did them before. I just, I was the first person to start doing them for the unit, and shocking because I did the long form videos before, and max I would get was like around 100 views. So
Hmm.
that was great. And then I mean the probably the biggest win from these efforts, I'd say is reaching out to our people in our unit. Ever since I started posting videos and thanking people for their clips and their pictures that they send in to our screenshots and videos channel. They've started getting more involved. We've had a lot more people join our S5 team, which has been a real help, and I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference. And you're right about shorts. I mean, we post them on the MilSim Units channel here on YouTube. They're addictive. What can I say? It's like everybody does them because they work. It's a great way to to get eyes on your unit there for a short minute or two. But definitely we'll help you out there. Get links to these media in the video description below. So hopefully you get some more clicks, get some more likes and shares, and just boost your social media presence because it really does make a difference. I mean, this day and age, I mean, we're playing on the internet. It's kind of part and parcel with the whole milsim kind of activity that we've got going on here. So with that, what about the platform here? So you guys are a tier one sub. You guys. I mean, you've had a great presence. You came in really strong to the platform, but we're curious about what we've done to benefit. What we could do more to help that where we're not doing as much as we should, perhaps, and then to get other ideas. What more do leaders and people in the community want? So I got to ask. I mean, how have we been able to benefit? 4R's visibility or your connections within the community since you've joined up on the platform.
So no bullshit when I say this. When me and Gesser first looked into MilSim units and stuff, we didn't know much about it. And then we really looked into it and then saw the analytics behind it, like how many people are visiting. This was at a time when we were really into we need to do a big recruitment drives. We just need to get as many people in as we can and stuff. And it's helped a lot. Genuinely, it's helped a lot. I mean, I still harass my every single morning, 8 a.m. on the dot. The Milsim bot harasses everybody, and I have to do it. I have to.
Yep, you got to.
Like thank everyone for the votes and everything. But especially when we first started, um, voting to up to like it was like 70, 90 votes or something like that, probably a bit more at the time. Whenever we first got to tier one, that boosted our number significantly, and it was a mix of let's do milsim units, and then Duncan was doing stuff with the YouTube and the TikTok, the Instagram and stuff. So we kind of did the recruitment drive all at one push, but the MilSim units with the YouTube combination, like by far has helped significantly. Um, and I would say even with the connection aspect of it too, I'm in good collaboration now, or I should say 4RR as a unit in general is in good collaboration with some other units now that we've met through this platform. And it's the part that I really like about that is that before it's a lot of units don't really entertain the idea of joint operations or even collaborating with other units because it almost seems like competition. What I've seen from MilSim units especially, and how we met some of the people that we consistently talk with these other units and stuff is these guys want to help each other out,
Yep.
and it's such a healthy mindset to see because it's helped in our favor as well because like why not try helping other people that want to lead their own thing. Like we see it in the the recruiter talk chat all the time, or even the leaders chat all the time. It's like people giving each other advice and seeing like what can I do to improve as a unit. And even the blog posts that you guys recently pushed out, read them as well, and it's like these are stuff that these unit leaders will sit down in a VC with, and I did that myself. I spoke with unit leaders and saw what do I need to do to improve, and that led to conversations with these boys here, and we've gained benefit from it significantly. As far as a unique identity goes, I'm I'm not entirely sure, but my ego would tell me that we have a decent name now, enough to where I've joined a couple discords and saw that hey, these guys would know, hey, I seen you in the MilSim unit page before. Like I know who you guys are. You guys are dope, and that relationship is already set at a good standard to where I know these guys, they know us, and that there's no bad blood off rip. Is
Mm,
it tends to happen in the past where,
sure. Yeah.
especially in like other platforms, not even just Arma, in any gaming community, there's always tends to be some form of bad blood, and MilSim Units has like almost eliminated that entirely. So, the platform engagement here is fucking dope, man. I love it.
I appreciate that. That's what it's all about. We're just trying to bring people together, bring the right people together, with the right units, and then, like you're talking about, testifying, to get those collaborations going. It isn't. I know we're into a violent kind of genre here, but it isn't all zero sum where everyone's or one person's gain is at the expense of another. We can rise together, and with the community growing the way it is, I mean, we got thousands on the Discord. I've got like some 8,000 plus subscribers on the YouTube channel here, so I'm sure you're going to get a few more clicks at least. There's room for growth. There's room for collaboration. There's room for just having a good time together and chilling. There's something for everybody. So,
One hundred
I
percent.
yeah, I like to hear the good feedback. Like I'll take the negative when it comes, so we can keep improving. But that's the thing. You are very active in terms of just your posts here on the Discord, developing that identity and sharing it with other people. So I'm always happy when it bears fruit. So here's to the next year, and keeping that growth and that collaboration going forward.
For sure, man, for sure.
So, what's a major goal that you guys have? I always like to look ahead. There's so much on the or in the news, on the Milsims, scene coming up in 2027. So, looking forward 1 year, what's like the biggest goal that you want to achieve, and what plan do you have in place to make it a reality?
Mason, I know me and you had a conversation about this recently. You wanna talk about this one?
No, you can kickstart it.
Yeah. So I I honestly tell you, Brock, I think for knowing Arma 3's limitations and establishing, what's worked best for us, um, as it stands right now with the Arma 3 platform as of 2026, we're actually very happy with where we're standing right now. There's nothing like new necessarily we'd want to, implement. It's just a matter of sustainment and improving the operations as much as we can. There's always room for improvement of like to what level of immersive experience can we provide, storyline detail, lore, etc. As far as the next major goal that we want to achieve, uh, we we didn't want to move over to Reforger bluntly. Yeah, I've seen the success of it for other people. It's fantastic to see, but we've made the decision that hopefully, as long as these rumors are true, and the confirmation is true, that 2027 we want to make switch over to Arma 4. so long, the mod changes are all proper and it can replicate as close as we can to what we got in Arma 3. Because let's face it, Arma 3 is still a buggy game. It's fun, but it has its issues and stuff. So the next major goal definitely is just transitioning over and seeing what can we bring with what our current structure is and what we're currently doing over to Arma 4. That would definitely be the next major goal.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's solid. I mean, Armor 3 is still the benchmark. I mean, we all end up here because with the mods, engine be damned, it's got all the capabilities that we look for, whether you're 11 Bravo grunt, pulling a rifle or you're doing that tier 1 kind of high speed op, scenarios in the shadows. But that's pretty ambitious, planning to jump right to Arma 4. I mean, Reforger, yeah, it's got its benefits. It's got some downsides as well as they're kind of working it out, even with the most recent update. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm really looking forward to 4. I'm really optimistic. Bohemia's, I know they've been taking community feedback very seriously as they've been working on the not only the engine, of course, but also the game, under wraps as it is. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to checking in with you guys a year from now and seeing how it all unfolds.
For sure, man, for sure.
So, I mean, we learned a lot about the unit here. You guys have, you've you've really overcome some hurdles here. Had your fair share of successes, had some real challenges that you had to work around or overcome. So I'm curious. We talked about all these insights, all these lessons learned over the last 2-3 years plus that you guys have been working together. What do you think in terms of um, your perspective on teamwork, on leadership, on running a unit? I mean, how has being a part of 4RR changed that perspective? And can you guys share an example of that change in thinking as you've you know played your roles here in the unit?
Yeah, for sure. I want all these boys to comment in their piece, but I
Please.
can I can start off. As far as what I believe, there's a couple philosophies that we kind of like to go by. I think as far as the unit goes, with leadership especially, it feels almost like a business. It is practically an entertainment business, is the best way we can look at it. Yeah, it's the benefit, the privilege even is that the leadership we have, we're all friends. We're all hanging out with each other and stuff like that, and that just adds on to how enjoyable this thing can be. But in reality, running a unit and especially trying to keep people entertained is a business model, and we personally don't take things like donations and stuff like that. We're very fortunate and blessed enough to where like we'll handle that. All we ask is that we just want your time during the Sundays. If we're delivering, all we ask is for your time. And having that philosophy across the leadership for everybody is like knowing that if you're a leader in a unit, not this isn't a real military or anything like that. This is still a community first. Is if you're getting a group of people to play a game and stuff like that, there's a structure established with it. Do what you can to not necessarily cater to individuals to where you're losing your vision, but these are people at the end of the day is like the best way to put it.
Mm.
We pick the leaders we do because they have an understanding that these guys are taking their time out of Sundays as an example. They're 2 hours. They're people. They want to have fun. Do what you can to ensure that they're having that fun experience. Talk with these guys and stuff like that. Because if we can't provide that as leaders, then and that just ruins the cohesion. We lose our teamwork aspect and everything because they're just gonna see, hey, these leaders up top, they're not doing shit. They're not talking to us. Why the hell should we as like a brand new NCO and stuff? So
Right.
in that perspective, like being able to provide within the boundaries of whatever you've established as a structure is by far the biggest lesson that I've learned for sure from
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah, that's valuable.
Yeah, like piggybacking off what he said, especially for we don't want any money from these guys or anything like that. We put forward everything to making sure that every Sunday, fucking any other training type of event or anything that we go ahead and do for these dudes, it's dedicated towards them. The last thing that we want is to put any stressors on them itself. It's all our thing is making sure that they have the experience and the time that they have to enjoy it all. So we always prioritize having that type of experience and prize for that leadership type people in our unit, especially for the NCOs coming up and forward, that we can go ahead and develop more and excel with them to eventually one day possibly dudes take our role or anything else like that, so that way we can go ahead and keep this thing running years from now, so that way it's still like one of those trademark units and everything.
Solid.
To be blunt, I think the thing that changed my perspective the most is just mindset and your willingness to, be a decent person. Throughout the course of this unit's history, we've had some really good leaders, some really bad leaders, and some mediocre leaders. And the thing that always pushes people towards, a specific squad or a specific platoon is how open is, that person to, shoot the shit and kind of just be there, right? Like if you have a bad leader, you're not going to want to show up on Sundays. If your SL's micromanaging you as a TL, you're not going to want to be there. The same way, if your PL's micromanaging you, you're just not going to want to show up. So, just giving people the option to just do what they do is kind of the biggest change that I've seen that's changed my perspective on it. Because when I started out, I did, micromanage a lot, and it led to some downfalls within my squad, and then eventually my aviation detachment, and just letting people show up and do their job makes it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
In my perspective on it, from what I've seen over the years and all that, are two very big things. One, it was learning how to be a leader. This unit really taught me that. Um, you know, when I first came in here, I was blessed to be able to move up and with the help of Duncan, which goes into my second topic, but I'll lightly topic.
Hmm.
Um, you know, having that network and all that really helps, and they taught me that I need to kind of like what Welsh said. Stop micromanaging so much. When I first came in here, I wanted to be the guy that knew everything, or not really knew everything, but worked on everything, had my hands in all the different pots and helping out where I can. Not to be overbearing, but I just loved helping.
Hmm.
And with that, I was always trying to help squads. I was always trying to help fire teams and all that. And I realized very early on that is not the way that you go about things. You have to not be so much as in focused on the training side of the house, focus on trying to make people as, quote unquote, as best as you can in Arma. It's a game at the end of the day. And changing that priority from when you're in that leadership perspective of not so much of how do I make you the most elite gamer, quote unquote, but instead of how do I make sure you have fun? How do I make sure that every Sunday that you get on, every Sunday that you give me your 2 hours of your life, it is not a regret. You don't go to bed thinking, I could have played Battlefield 4. I could have played X, Y, and Z instead of going to that 2 hour operation. Instead, changing that mindset to, I can't wait till the next Sunday. That really, really helped me, just even in life and stuff like that. That kind of switch of how do I make sure that your time is enjoyable is probably the most important thing that I found with leadership. Now, on the second part of this is kind of mentioned before is networking. Um, this unit has shown me that just knowing people, just being able to communicate with other people, in the very beginning times of 4RB, we were kind of isolation. Like we were in isolation. We didn't really talk to other units. We didn't really reach out. We didn't really, this whole thing 4 years ago, us getting on a podcast with you and talking would have never happened. Um, but just that changing our mindset to reaching out and speaking to different people and knowing different people really helped our dream of making a community come alive. thankfully, I have a very close friend of mine, Burke. Everyone in here knows him. He was a previous Zeus in the unit. Um, he made amazing ops, some of the best ops that I've ever played. Love the guy to death. He is currently hosting our servers through his company that he has, Host Anvil. You know, he just by knowing him and being able to reach out to him and talk to that, it really helped us keep two servers alive at a manageable cost. Not paying an arm and a leg to host a server like we were way back 3 years ago, but instead making it more manageable at a very good spec rate. Like our operations, we're running 70 people operations with the people that have a very bad computer, of course, they lag. That's just, you can't help it. It's Arma 3, it's the engine. But on the other side of the house, the people that did have, more mid-tier to higher end computers like myself, Duncan, some of the other people here, we never even saw lag. It felt like a Call of Duty game. You were able to have helicopters flying over, things blowing up, you know, 40 people rushing an objective, stuff like that without any lags. And that really kind of allowed our vision and our dream of what we wanted for our to be a community to come alive.
Hmm. You guys touched on a lot of points here. I mean, I can see some commonalities. There's a theme here. I mean, giving a damn about your people. I mean, you're talking about some of the give and take that goes into being a leader. To like I mentioned, these guys are volunteers. They're showing up because they want to. Like you were just mentioning here. You want to give them a reason to come back next Sunday. Yeah, and I think each of you, from your own perspective, your own point of view, you illustrate the point that if you're not going to be there for them, you really can't expect them to be there for you, whether you're talking about junior NCOs or the rank and file who are coming up, after you. So, really great points there, and I think yeah, it's crucial to hold that knowledge, as a MilSim leader, but also just being a human being, being a friend, a coworker. I think these kind of insights can really be helpful in just about every aspect of life. So I appreciate that, gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Just to, you know, tag along on that,
Mm,
going with my own story, if that's okay.
sure.
Um, the first time I left the unit, wasn't really because I wanted to. Um, my relationship kind of soured with the old unit owner.
Mm,
We're friends now. All the bad blood is behind us. Um, but it did sour. Ended up leaving. I was a really resentful bastard back then. Um, I was younger. I was just turned 18 at the time. I joined when I was 17. Still holding grudges at people. Didn't know how to put stuff behind me or, not take it personally, which I think a lot of people have this problem when they're younger.
yep.
But this unit, um, definitely taught me that lesson about, just letting stuff go, not taking it personally, and learning how to really talk with people. And I've seen that, just being the PSG, so having to talk to dudes whenever, stuff happens. A lot of people have these problems, and I definitely think just being in an Arma unit, you you'll learn those skills, and it was really good for me.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I don't care who you are, and whether you're a tier one operator, whether you're just getting started in Arma or any kind of gaming title. We've all got room for improvement. We're all coming in with our own skills, our experiences, our abilities, but there's always room for growth, for sharpening what we've got, and good people, they help you. You can what's the phrase? Iron sharpens iron. So when you get in with the right people, you can learn from each other and grow and develop. Not only as individuals but as a team. So yeah, I mean, words of wisdom that you guys are sharing here. Seriously. So yeah, outstanding perspectives. Really, this is just great story hearing where you guys have come from and the ups and downs and some of the WTF moments that you've shared over the years. So, I got to ask. I mean, with all your the brotherhood that you've developed, the identity that you formed as a Ranger unit. Just all the characters that you've had, coming and going in your time together. Does 4R have any unique traditions or rituals, or any kind of inside jokes that your members, it makes you feel like you're at home?
Oh shit.
We have
Take it
plenty.
away. Take it away. You got it.
So I've heard. All right, Brock. I've seen some of the other units podcasts and this question specifically, and I've
Mhm.
heard the traditions. It's all cool. It's all funny and stuff. Um, we're kind of retarded, and we kind of scale things up to a level that like for the sake of this podcast integrity, I'm not gonna go fully in detail, but to put it into perspective of like to be able to imagine it, during operations and stuff like that, um, we don't call each other by like our normal names. Like
Uh,
naturally for everybody across the board, we try to pick out that particular thing about said person and make that their nickname, and they
oh, it's
know
perfect.
every single time exactly who we're talking about. If we're in a big circle or something, and then we say that specific nickname, that person knows exactly who we're talking about and everyone else around it. I have a nickname. Welsh has a nickname. We're not going to disclose that, but
Oh,
it is
come
said
on, you're
during.
killing me.
All right, so
Yeah,
fuck it,
take it
fuck
away.
it.
Take it away.
Uh-oh.
Go
Take
for it, man.
All right, let's go.
You
Let's
set
go
us
it
up.
up.
Let's go.
So okay, for me as an example, right? Company commander for a Ranger unit and stuff like that. That's so dope and all. I'm a brown guy, okay, and I'm from the Middle Eastern descent. So these guys, sometimes they'll call me, terrorist instead
Oof.
instead of a call sign or something like that. For Welsh, am I able to say your nickname here, Welsh?
Okay, well, which one? Hold on.
The
Well,
one that I always call you.
the one that's
No,
more
wait, maybe not that one. Maybe not that one.
Oh
Maybe the
shit.
more tame version of the
Too
one I
late.
call him.
So it's kind of interesting because like we're all have very different ethnicities and backgrounds and stuff. So
Mm.
we abuse the fuck out of that. So Zamora would be like the border crosser as an example.
I gotcha. Yep.
And Mason is the old man. That's what we call him, a graybeard. Welsh is the coin collector. I'll just put it like that. I'll just say it like that. So even the people,
PG way.
even the people at the bottom, that we have a couple of guys that they have completely normal names, mind you, but based off of their interviews and how we interact with the VC, there's a guy in second platoon. I just call him Catboy instead of his actual name. Um, and I call there's a bunch of nicknames that are out there, but it all gets a bit ridiculous.
Mm.
So the nicknames by far is definitely one of those traditions by far, and it keeps things light. It's tame, it just says like, hey, this is still we're having fun here. The other
Yeah, take that one.
hold on,
I'm not touching on the middle one. I'll go far right.
yeah, you go for it. You got it, Welsh.
Okay.
Well, you got to go with the
So
far left into the far right, buddy.
yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. So as Hendrix touched on, we're a little different. And
He's
when I
got
say
this.
when I say a little, I mean a lot. So in our infinite wisdom, after we've known each other, some of us years, all of us years actually at this point. So we all feel comfortable turning our cameras on and
FaceTiming.
FaceTiming, giving our phone numbers,
Mm.
following each other on Instagram, the works. So I can't say how it started, but no, what it inevitably led to was this. If you're familiar with AI slop and deepfakes, we've transitioned it into building a arsenal, if you will, of fakes and what we call nukes of each other. And these nukes are anywhere from wearing skirts to being in handcuffs in front of the police, all over the spectrum, including one of our glorious unit CO in his dress blues that, if they were to see the light of day, would raise a lot of questions.
Rock, mind you, I'm not prior service or anything, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This has gotten so far, like, and it's not just us. It's unfortunately mainly like the command guys, 100%. But the AI and clipping the bad moments and stuff like that in both
Yeah.
in game and VCs and stuff, it's gotten so bad to where there's my Arma uniform. All of my achievements I got through Arma is displayed on a uniform that I'm wearing IRL. And I'm like, I'm wearing a normal suit, and they just, turn it around entirely. It's bad. It's real bad shit.
Yep. AI is
Pretty
amazing
entertaining.
what you can do, like in a matter of minutes.
Yeah,
It's
you'd be
incredible.
surprised.
Yeah, our we call him the United States. Mr. Duncan here. Mr. Duncan, which is playing all the different sides in the world. He was supplying everyone with what we call those nukes. So now it went from originally as starting between me and Duncan just messing around. One night while we were both just playing a game or whatever might be the case, I don't really remember. He made he told me that I should get a bowl cut, or an Edgar cut if you're familiar with that, because I am Mexican. So he was like, "You should get an Edgar cut," and I was like, "No, I would never do that. I'm definitely not that type of person." So he then proceeded to take a picture of me and give me an Edgar cut. And that just started to devolve very far, very fast. It went from just an Edgar cut to just whatever you can imagine, doom and despair, to now where we have to have it locked away. We have
We have
a piece of cord, yeah, a piece of cord between all of us that if one person leaked one, then they're all going out. And it's a fun little thing that we all make these little inside jokes and stuff like that. We poke fun at each other, but yeah,
it's
it
so
was
much fun.
the time.
Yeah.
The 4RR files is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's real bad stuff.
That's
It's only
great.
good bit,
The
though.
truth is out there. No, but seriously though, I mean that you guys can be that chill together and just blow off some steam and just have a laugh at each other's expense and with each other. That's really great. I mean that portrays like a deeper level of the dynamics that you've got in terms of that community and that brotherhood and that friendship that you've cultivated. So I think it's hilarious. I mean, definitely not for the faint of heart. I guess if you're a little more politically correct, maybe it's not
Yeah.
the kind of thing for you. But nah, if you can be real with yourself and your friends, man, I mean, why not? It's a great way to have fun together.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
So, and I love funny call signs, funny nicknames. I mean, it's like I know some you're a little hesitant to say it online, but it's all good here. I get a big kick out of it myself.
There's, I mean, a good example. We have a lot of like inside jokes. I'm not saying it. We have a lot of like inside jokes and funny things where if I go
Yeah, okay, to give some backup on that, because that just seemed really out of fucking note. I was middle of drinking. I was not prepared. Fucker. I should have just left him alone. Made him seem fucking crazy.
Hey man, is what it is.
So that happened just out of nowhere. I don't know what we were doing. We were talking in some Discord, and out of nowhere, I just randomly went like in front of everyone. And because I did that, now during operations, I'll randomly hop on their long range radio frequency. He's a pilot. He's the pilot CO. I'm second platoon PL. So I would randomly hop on their radio frequency and just do that same thing, just throughout the different, moments of the operations, just randomly doing that. And it originally were between me and Welsh. Now everyone in the command team I'll do it once and everyone just lights up around me and starts doing it. So
mind you, they've took it too far. Like every leader's brief, I promise you, every leader's brief that we've had, they would do that once, like mid-sentence. Mind you, we're all locked in, we're all talking about the op and everything like that, and then
it just drops it.
It just drops it, and then just everyone just loses their shit after. It's so stupid.
As you heard when I did it, everyone just started giggling. It's just dumb, but it's just
makes the Sundays enjoyable.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It makes everybody have a good time. That's funny.
Ooh.
So, now that we've seen the true side of 4RR, how you guys are really like. Now, all seriousness, I am curious about. I always like to take a look at the lighter side of stuff because I mean, for all the seriousness, all the immersion. I mean, you guys have you've said it yourselves. I mean, you want to have a good time together, have fun. So I'm curious about your kit. As Rangers, I mean, you've developed that mindset, that organization, and that type of mission playing. So what is it in your gear that is like non-negotiable? It's like I know in Arma 3, you get in the arsenal, you've got a million choices. I don't know if you guys got like an official kit list or what, aside,
Mhm.
approved kit. But is there, a weapon, a piece of equipment, some kind of, comms? What is like the one thing that's non-negotiable in your kit bag, and what's the story behind it?
I think all of us may have a different answer. To answer, to bring up the point that we do have like this hard set kit that like off rip, hey, this is what you run. It's non-negotiable. So we have a general kit across the board, depending on the role that you play,
Okay.
that you're supposed to run all the equipment. But as far as like specifics goes, that I can think of, I think for me, the C tab is like the biggest non-negotiable by far.
Hmm.
It's like there's so much reliance on it, and granted, the unfortunate C-type crashes that happen with knowing Arma 3, it is what
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
But the amount of times that I can recall in the past where someone forgets their C-tab or something and they can't navigate where their squad is at, especially like, post airborne jump or something like that. C-tab is like my personal thing, like non-negotiable, make sure you have it for every single op without a doubt. Like outside of the obvious stuff like your gun and your radio and stuff. I think that piece of gear is by far like the one that's non-negotiable for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, in terms of, second platoon, not me personally, we always have our 2-4 bringing in mortar. This is something that first platoon doesn't do, but it just, you know, it honestly doesn't do much. It's like a GL round. Like
Mhm.
it's not doing that much damage, but it makes, it makes the cinematics look great for everyone. And it just makes them think that they're doing great work on the ground.
All right. Yeah, all it's up.
Yeah.
Damo, you want to take it?
Yeah, so uh I'm kind of calling myself out here. Mr. CO Hendrix is gonna get mad at me for saying this, but my like not really so much as a single thing, it's a plethora of things. Every operation I need to bring a lot of ammo.
Hmm.
And
You
medical.
bitch.
And the reason why is because I don't know why. I really don't understand the psychological reasoning behind it, but there's always a good group of people inside a second platoon that love just to forget ammo. Just whatever it is, they go into an operation, they just forget half their mags. And I'm like a little ammo bearer. I just run around and start giving out mags and giving out things like that. So that's kind of my I have to carry.
Gotcha. Taking care of your people.
So, do you want to go? Yeah, I'm going to take it.
I can go.
Oh.
We have the whole cigarettes, cigars, and everything like that. Means either having these cigars with me and of course, everybody's learned to accompany me or see me and everything like that. I'm the only one in the unit that wears face paint. One of my previous like army units and stuff like that was mandated wear face paint wherever you go. Fucking ranges, whatever it might be, you wear face paint and everything like that. And I joke about it and everything, and I just wear it and everything. And my dude has his consistent 1,000-yard stare whenever people look at me from a distance and stuff. And it's just one of those things that I always have to have.
I'm gonna send Brock that photo. It's too fucking funny.
I have fun.
You should send it
Hold
to him. It portrays it perfectly.
Oh, send that to the wrong person. Sorry, J-Mo.
Thanks, dude. Thanks.
If you reference DMs, that is the 1,000-yard stare with his camo face paint that we all refer to. But I think fine. Once again, see.
Some things you can't unsee.
Nah, bro.
Good shit.
I think mine. CEO's gonna get upset with me once again, but I like to rage bait the Zeus a little bit.
Mhm.
So
Oh, okay.
usually I'll catch the brunt end of some bullshit. So my non-negotiable is always carrying a stitch kit on me for the sole reason of when I get shot down or when I get shot through the fucking front glass of my aircraft, I can I can fix myself because you know I might have joked a little bit too hard with this Zeus.
Yeah, you gotta take care of yourself there in those cases. Yeah, careful pissing off the Zeus, man. They got all the power, but that's when you're in aviation. There's a will, there's a way. I can imagine a couple of ways you could get back if you really wanted to. But in all seriousness, great kids there. I mean, actually, I was never in weapons. I wasn't a mortarman. I know how to use the the V, what is that, the VZ99.
Yeah, 60
But
mil.
yeah, the 60 mil, that's right. But yeah, you got some good stuff here. And ammo, it's like when I was running the 249, I couldn't be out in the field with anything less than 1,400 rounds. You never know. So, but yeah, good stuff there. A good variety and some interesting, very useful items at that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so we've definitely covered a lot here. I always like getting people together, picking their brains, kind of unpacking what they got going, and chalking up their successes so everybody else can see and learn and get involved if that's what they're looking for. So this has really been great. I mean, definitely just in this short time, we've uncovered so many things about 4RR, about each of you. Just where you've started from, where you've been along the way and where you're looking forward to taking the next step. So I'm curious before we wrap up the episode, looking back at your history in 4RR, all the work that you put in, all the inspiration that you've given to your people to make it what it's become today. What is like the single proudest achievement that you've accomplished? What is it about that particular success that means so much to you as a MilSim unit?
So, for me, by far the proudest achievement anytime that I hop on Sunday and see these ops happening or just open up the Discord, pulling off a company level structure in this game is my proudest achievement, and it does correlate directly with the fact that me and Mason, when taking the unit, seeing what it was before, and then being able to have such fantastic people join our leadership and develop it to the structure that we wanted for like the longest time. That is my proudest achievement by far. It's worked phenomenally, and I'm really happy about that.
Respect.
Yeah, no, to piggyback completely off of him is for us to be able to employ and send forth that company level operation in it while a few units out there can and do successfully and everything like that. For us to be able to go and do that from how we were 2-3 years ago to now makes it all of the worthwhile. And I'd seeing the smile on people's faces, hearing the comments that we get, the ratings that we get from the ops from each Sunday that we do, I'd choose to do it again every single time.
Mhm.
Yeah, to add to kind of what Mason was saying near the end, honestly, just making the memories and stuff like that inside of the unit really is like kind of the proudest thing of mine. Just whenever you're running around and you actually hear people yelling in the game, not just talking, but like yelling. There's a clip somewhere. I could probably find it for you. But a guy in our weapon squad in second platoon, a APC, a PLA APC came around the corner with a big 30 mil and just completely annihilates people. It pops up out of nowhere and you hear him yell clear as day in the recording, "We're all gonna die," like literally loud as if he was right there, just screams it. And there's just like those little things scattered throughout every operation where people actually feel immersed, and the ability to give that to someone. We're not a AAA studio where we're making these games and all that. We're just a bunch of people that are just really loving Arma 3. We love producing missions and making a community and being able to see people actually, get immersed with that and really kind of surround themselves with it for that 2 hours really is just something to admire.
Outstanding.
Can you want to take it?
Yeah. Not to toot my own horn, jiggle my weenus, gel my hair. I'd like to think that I was the best medic at a time. In all of Arma, probably for Cat Medical.
This guy's unreal.
You could put any problem in front of me, and I feel like I could diagnose it and fix it. In like 4 minutes, 4 minutes max, maybe even smaller. Yeah, that was a little bit of a bullshit answer, but for real, definitely it's working with Zamora and building second platoon. I'm so grateful that Hendrix Mason gave the opportunity for Zamora to come back as a PL and open up second platoon, and so grateful that Zamora offered the PSG opportunity to me,
Forced
and
him.
forced me with a whip and chain. But
He likes it.
I do. No, it's been great building second platoon. We built it from just me and Zamora and a couple people from first platoon to where it is today. Almost full. I think 4 slots left. Correct me if I'm
Yep.
wrong.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, about there.
But yeah, it's been a great time.
Hey, at least you're humble about it. That's a big thing. At least you're
Thank
nice and
you. I
humble.
know.
Not too big of a head. I like it.
Hold on.
Who's grabbing his shekels back?
Shut the fuck up. I have the talking stick. I think my proudest achievement is kind of just a culture that we've all fostered in the unit, and that it's reflected to the point where just about any day during the week, almost every Sunday pre-op, you'll find 5, 10, 15 dudes just chilling amongst the gaming rooms, either playing games, shooting the shit, or whatever it is, and none of them are shit talking other people that we know of, and just making sure that everyone who wants to show up is showing up and is having a good time. Right? No one likes hearing the gossip. No one likes hearing people bullshit. So just building a good culture that we can all sit here, shit on each other, have fun, and that's reflected to everyone else in the unit is something that took a long time to do, and I think we're all glad that we've built that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you've said a lot there. You've covered a lot. I mean, just you've got a lot to be proud of here. I mean, seriously, rebuilding this company, expanding, from a platoon-sized element of a bunch of, kind of relatively disorganized, teams and squads, and then, bringing it all together and then expanding into that second formation, bringing a true company structure. I mean, it ain't easy in Arma and any MilSim, just about any organization, getting that many people together to have a good time, to enjoy themselves, and want to come back, like you were saying, to create those memories and build upon that culture. That's something that I think we can all admire and take a lesson from. So you guys, seriously, 4R, you've got a lot to be proud of. So it's really been great having you on the podcast to uncover all this and see where you guys have come.
We greatly appreciate it, man. This has been great.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has been a good one. So Hendrix, Mason, Zamora, Welsh, Duncan, thank you so much for coming out here. Yeah, I'm glad we were finally able to get this together and showcase what you guys got going on to the rest of the community. Like I said, we got thousands of subscribers on our YouTube, so I'm sure you're going to be getting some clicks here. I really hope it helps. And seriously, I want to keep our comms open as we go forward, through 2026 into the new year, to see, what you guys, have up and coming and what we can do to help, bring out the best for you and everyone else around us.
Of course, man. We appreciate it, Brock. Truly,
Sure,
it's been
sure,
great.
sure thing. No, thanks so much, gentlemen. All right, ladies and gents, this has been another great podcast. We've got more in the works. It's going to be a busy summer. We've got a lot of great conversations, in the works as we speak. So until next time, this is C. Brock signing off.